Hello friends, it's your favorite realtor, Christy J, and happy Foodie Friday. This evening I am going to show you one of my all-time favorites, actually two different things. I am going to show you how to make my Mediterranean chicken patties, and this time I can take credit, I created the recipe. Don't be intimidated. This is going to take almost everything that you have in your kitchen with the exception of the kitchen sink, but trust me, you're gonna thank me later because they are so flavorful and so delicious. You're gonna make them often. They freeze well, and you can actually create meals after you have your initial meal of just having the patties or burgers. So what I like to do with them is you can take the patties, crumble them up, and serve them on top of a salad. Those are fantastic. You can also crumble up the patties and make homemade egg rolls out of them, and that's just a little different twist. And then they make the absolute best, and I kid you not, best nachos ever. So again, crumble them up on top of chips, put a little bit of cheese on there, put them in your broiler or in the oven, and get the cheese all nice and melted, and get the patty all heated, and it will be fantastic. So again, a lot of ingredients. Don't get intimidated. It's going to be worth it. So because there are so many ingredients, I'm not going to take the time of cutting everything up or putting it in my food processor in front of you. I'm just going to show you, and I will have a list of all the ingredients as well as a photo that's going to show you all the items that you need. And what you do is you put everything in your food processor, and then you mix it up with your ground chicken. So for this recipe, I use 2 packages or 2 pounds of ground chicken, and then I put in my food processor. Well, let me start with the seasoning first. So I use dry oregano, I use fresh cilantro, in case you guys don't know how to store your cilantro. With your herbs, you can always put them in water, kind of treat them like flowers. Certain herbs like to have cold temperatures, certain ones like to be on the counter, like parsley enjoys being on the counter. Cilantro loves cold, so you can put it in the refrigerator. I shouldn't say loves it, but treat it like flowers, snip the bottoms, put it in some water, and leave it in the fridge, and you'll get a long shelf life with that, or long fridge life. So dried oregano, cilantro. Normally I would use fresh garlic, but when I was at the grocer's, I forgot to pick it up. So yep, I am guilty. I used the jarred garlic, but that's fine. And then I used the lime. You can even put the zest in there if you really like the lime flavor of 1 lime. And then I use green onions, and I'll use both the white and the green part of the green onions. And again, I'm putting all of this in the food processor. It's probably not gonna all fit at one time, but I put it in there to get it all nice and finely chopped and smooth finish. I use about 1/2 bag of the mini peppers. I'm probably strange, but I am somebody that feels that green peppers have really no purpose in life. So every time I cook, I use yellow, orange, or red peppers. So that's just my preference. I think they have a milder flavor, so they blend well with the other ingredients. In the photo, you'll see that this was double the size originally, but I only used about this portion because I used half of it, half of the original, which was larger, in the first batch that I made, which I'll show you. And then I use marinated artichoke hearts. I will drain, usually I use 2 of the smaller containers, and I include 1 jar with the liquid and 1 without. So try to drain most of the juice, because the more liquid that you leave in your product, the more breadcrumbs you're gonna have to use. And I have the breadcrumbs pictured in the photo that'll be in comments, but I don't have it on my counter here because I used it in the first batch. So the more liquid that you put into the batch of this, the more you're gonna have to absorb that, or else your end product's just gonna fall apart when you put it on the grill. So then the final things, and like I said, just about everything with the exception of the kitchen sink. I actually experimented. Originally, I didn't include these, but I like the texture that it creates, and it just is more substance, and it gives you more volume with your end product. So I use zucchini. I did about 2 zucchinis, about this size, just little baby ones, and then half, obviously the other half's missing, of my yellow squash. So those are all the ingredients. Again, blend it all together. You're gonna find that when the ingredients that I just mentioned, with the exception of the chicken, when you put that in a bowl, I mix all of that together, and then I'll grab my ground chicken and I'll mix it all together. I put on gloves and just get it really nice and mixed together. And then I do it on the grill. And then friends, if you guys haven't invested in these, they're so cheap. They get them, I buy mine at the dollar store. I spray them with my cooking sprayer, olive oil, put it on the grill, and it helps it to cook nice and evenly. I'm not having to scrape off my grill the next time I use it. It's going to save any product from dripping down into your grate. So these are just handy that I use them. Let me show you what the chicken looks like. And I just have a little portion left. It's going to be a big batch when you make it. So it kind of looks like a thicker cookie dough. Sometimes I'll add an egg. I really don't do it that often because there's enough ingredients in here to bind it. But if you're finding that it's just really challenging, that it's crumbling apart when you're cooking it, go ahead and add, you can put an egg in there, and you can also add more breadcrumbs. Again, don't buy the expensive breadcrumbs, at Vincent Joe's or Nino's or anything like that. Just buy a loaf of bread, put it in between 2 cookie sheets. My light just went off. Put it in between 2 cookie sheets. Oven temp like 300, 350, and just keep an eye on it, and you'll have your nice, beautiful breadcrumbs. So this is what it's going to look like. You don't want it to be a mushy mess with it being like really runny. So keep adding your breadcrumbs and an egg, like I said, if you want to. But that's the consistency. I actually use an ice cream scoop. I just scoop it, flatten it down on the grill, and just let it go. Flip it, and we're good to go. So next item I'm going to show you are my potatoes that Caden now doesn't complain about. He raves about them, and shame on me if I ever don't have them on the weekend that he's with me, because he loves his potatoes, and they are very nice and crispy on the outside and nice and tender in the inside. So I am going to show you what you do. Is I just have bite-sized, well, these are probably a little bit bigger than bite-sized potatoes. I like to use a waxy potato because that'll be a more firm potato. It'll hold its shape, and it does very well when you're roasting it. So what I have here is flour that I've added to the flour, celery salt. I told you guys I use that all the time. It's one of my favorite ingredients. Onion powder, black pepper, and garlic salt. I just realized I forgot. With this batch, I forgot. Mrs. Dash, that woman knows what she's doing. I use her seasoning a lot, but I will just tell you with Mrs. Dash, it says right on here, salt-free. I love salt. You guys may not like it, but when I'm cooking and I use Mrs. Dash, I always know that I have to add some salt because it's going to be too bland for my taste. So I wish I had a really sensitive palate, but I don't. So, okay, so I just get that nice and mixed up. I have my potatoes, which probably when I first washed them, they had a little bit of moisture, which helps them get coated with the flour. So I'm just putting some flour on there. I can always go back and add more. Now, this is the part where I look really cool. I tend to not use man overboard, but that's okay, it's gonna happen. I try not to use a spoon because that's kind of, as I'm using a spoon or a spatula to do this, every time I'm swiping the potatoes, I'm swiping off what I've already just spent time coating them with. So in school, we have to learn how to be able to, it's really about just flipping your wrist the proper way to get it to not go overboard, although you can say I already did that. It's on my shirt. But at school, we take a pan, and Chef has us put rice, dry rice or uncooked rice in a pan, and then you practice, flip it, just so that you don't get the rice to go all over, and then it helps you to be able to flip your eggs when you're doing like sunny side or over easy or over hard. So now that I've done that, I make sure that they're all nicely coated. I'm going to take my olive oil, and I found that the easiest way for me to apply this, like if I was just to go and spill olive oil all over it, it's going to get kind of clumped in certain spots, and it's going to remove some of the coating that I just did with the seasoning of flour on certain parts, and it's just going to go onto a couple. So what I like to do is I just kind of, this jar is so, or this container is so big, but I kind of just drizzle it along the side. And then I do a little swishing on the bottom. Oh my God, I'm doing great. It's because I have an audience. I've already lost 2. Okay, but again, keep going. And I'm probably not going to do this and make you guys dizzy, and I won't make sure it's coated completely. But you can see the spots, like there's a couple spots that are still dry. So you just want to keep going until it's completely covered. And what the flour is going to do in the oil Is it 3? Are you guys counting? 3 of them went overboard. Okay. Because I'm too zealous and I'm trying to talk at the same time, but you get the idea. It has a beautiful, nice coating. You can tell that they're evenly coated with both the flour seasoning and then also with the oil. So what I do is I take a pan, I am all about saving time in the kitchen. So anytime I'm using pans, sheet pans, half pans, whatever it is, I always cover it with foil. So I don't have to wash the pan after, right? Every single time. And then I will spray it with my cooking spray right here. And then I would put it in an oven. If you could have convection oven, I would put it on convection. Just circulates air and makes everything cook nice and evenly, and it helps it with the crispiness. But if you just want to bake them, that's fine. Like 350, 375, you're good. I would start at about 10 minutes, flip them, go another 10. You may have to do 30 minutes. It may take you anywhere from 25 to 30, just depends on the temperature and how your oven cooks. Once they're fork tender, then what I will do is, if they aren't golden to my liking, what I'll do is I'll put it on a low broil, and then I will keep an eye on them. Once they get nice and golden on the top layer, I'll flip them. I shouldn't say top layer, I should say on the top, because you want to do just one layer so everything gets baked nice and evenly. So one layer, flip them again, and then let that side go on the broiler. And at the end, you'll have nice golden, they're crispy on the outside and nice and tender on the inside. I can't put that one back because I touched it. So I hope you found this to be helpful. It has been, like I said, tried and true, one of my absolute favorite meals. I don't even serve those with buns, although you can brush like a brioche bun, or like a nicer bun I would use. I would brush it with some olive oil, maybe put a little bit of seasoning, throw those on the grill, get those nice grill marks so that they're appealing when you serve them to your guests. Goes really nicely if you have some guacamole. If you have fresh avocados, just mash those up, put a little bit of seasoning in them, and serve it like that. Just a quick, easy guacamole. Of course, you could do salsa as well. And then I would just serve this with just a light salad maybe, and even finish off with a light dessert like a fruit salad. Just keep it nice and easy and light. So I mentioned that I have some friends that were kind enough to give me referrals. And as I mentioned, as realtors, a lot of our business, I'd say about 95% of my business is based on referrals. So any help that you give me is so appreciated. You know me, you know I'll take really good care of your customers and provide them with great service. And I have several friends that I need to thank, and I'm going to be making this meal for them. Plus I have some tricolor or rainbow mini carrots. I'm going to roast those as well, make them really nice, and get a dessert created for them. But I'm going to deliver to Lisa Rodella, Tina Ritz, and to my friend Hunter Adams. All 3 of you were so kind, and there's no better compliment than referring me for my services. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed Foodie Friday. And again, this is Christy J, your favorite realtor, and I hope you have a great weekend. Okay guys, talk to you soon. Thank you so much.